Hey class, as promised, I'm making this video in place of reviewing on Thursday or tomorrow, since I'm going to be in Clubhouse at the Quantitative Reasoning Conference. So I'm really excited and hoping I learn some really cool things tomorrow and Friday that I can improve my quantitative reasoning teaching, and hopefully that you can benefit this term from that, and also future students that I have for quantitative reasoning. So I'm making this video using some new software and pieces of technology that I've gotten this term. And so this will also give you kind of a glimpse if you're ever interested to take an online math class through me. So I'm developing actually this course, Quantitative Reasoning, and our statistics course to be online, and offering those this summer. So I'm developing lecture videos in a similar fashion to what we're doing now, so you can see how personal it can be to take an online course, right? So there's a professional organization called Quality Matters, which is really trying to find best practices based on research for online courses, and I'm actually completing their online teaching certificate, and then also to be able to be a peer reviewer, so I can view online courses and determine, if they meet the quality that QM sets. So I'm really excited to be able to improve my online teaching ability and try to make it a more personable approach instead of just, kind of on your own to complete the assignments and things. So hopefully you might enjoy taking an online class, and you might be interested in taking the online stats class. So I know some of you are associative arts degree majors, and really the big difference is just one math class. So if you'd be interested in completing like associative arts and associative science, then taking statistics could satisfy your second math course, and in addition to the quantitative reasoning, so you could potentially get both degrees if you wanted. And that could be beneficial when you go on to your bachelor's. Quantitative reasoning is an excellent course, and it'll definitely transfer with you. But as I've said before, the quantitative reasoning is newer to this part of the state. So statistics has been around 40 years or so. So it's very traditional. So some bachelor programs might require you to take a statistics class also, so that could be beneficial. But if you have questions about that, I know that you can start registering for classes. Some of you actually today. Feel free to reach out to me, and I can help you or point you in the direction that you need to get your answer. All right. So I only had one question in the discussion board that I had asked you to post in if you had questions about specific topics or homework problems that you were struggling with. So this is homework problem number 3 from section 3.2, right? So I have this, I just did a screen capture of this so we can walk through. I'll walk through maybe like 2 of them, and then so we'll do Mercury and Venus, and then like to find the rest is just the same process. So it's just kind of tedious. In fact, once you kind of got a feel for how to do the conversions, you could just easily throw this in Excel after you have your formulas established, and just do a fill down if you found that to be kind of tedious to keep doing this like 9 times, right? So what we have here, we're given some data for planets. We're given their diameter in kilometers and their distance in let me move this over, in million kilometers, distance from the sun. So we're asked to scale this to 10 billion, right? So, let me grab some ink here. All right, so for Mercury, right, we can find that we have this diameter of 48,000 4,880 kilometers, right? So we'll start with that for 4,880 kilometers, and then if I divide that by 10 10 to the 10th, right? So 10 to the 10th, 10 to the 10th equals 10 billion. Right? So whenever I want to scale this quantity to a specific number, right, we just want to divide, right? So take 4,880 divided by 10 to the 10th, right? And this is in kilometers. And then if we want to get rid of kilometers, so notice I want this to be in millimeters, right? So how I remember the excuse me, how to convert within the metric system is like a silly saying. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, right? Where this is my base unit, the B. So we want to go from kilometers, right, to millimeters. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots, right? So in other words, 1 kilometer is 10 to the 6th millimeters, right? So we would have 10 to the 6th millimeters to 1 kilometer. So now my kilometers will cancel, and then I'm in millimeters, right? The unit that I want, right? So we can just plug this into our calculator. So I have a calculator here that we can use. So we have 4,800. Oops, gotta turn it on. Oops. Let me clear that. All right. So we can take 4,880 divided by 10 to the 10th. So 10 to the 10th. And then multiplied by 10 to the 6th. Right, we get 0.488, right? So let me move my mouse over here. Let me grab some ink. So we have 0.488. So I went to round this, right? It says round to the nearest tenth. So the tenth is 1 decimal spot, right? So I want to round to this place value. So I look to the right. The 8 tells me to round up. So this is approximately 0.5, right? So I would fill in 0.5 here, right, as I have already done. Right? So this is for the diameter. So then for the distance from the sun, right, we want to do something similar, but the one thing you want to keep in mind is that my units is in million kilometers, right? So 1 million is equal to 10 to the 6th, right? So if I have 49.2 million kilometers, that's the same thing as 49.2 times 10 to the 6th kilometers, right? So I can multiply by 10 to the 6th instead of having the unit million, right? So now it's just in terms of 1 kilometer. So if we start with that, 49.2 times 10 to the 6 kilometers, right? Then divide that by 10 to the 10th still, right? Because that's what we're scaling it to, 10 billion. And then again, I'm going to want to convert my units. But this time I want to be in meters, right? So here we're told meters. So we want meters here, kilometers here. That way my kilometers cancel. So I want to find out how many meters is in 1 kilometer. So up here, right, going from kilometers to meters, which is a base unit, I go 1, 2, 3 spots, right? So in other words, 1 kilometer, take that to meters, we would move my decimal spot 3 spots to the right. Right, so I get 1,000, right, which is 10 to the 3rd. So this would be 10 to the 3rd meters. So then now I can simply plug this in my calculator and simplify, right? So we need to take 49.2 times 10 to the 6th divided by 10 to the 10th times 10 to the 3rd. So I get 4.92. Right, so again, we're supposed to round to the nearest tenth, so this would be 4.9, right? So I round to the nearest tenth, one decimal spot. The 2 tells me to keep it the same, right? So you can see that's what I got here, right? So then you could keep repeating this process, right? So basically you take this value, divide it by 10 to the 10th, and then multiply by 10 to the 6th, right? To get the diameter in meters, or millimeters. And then for the distance from the sun, right, we do the same process, right? I'm going to take this value, so take 108.5, multiply by 10 to the 6th, divide by 10 to the 10th, and then multiply by 10 cubed, and that will give you the value that goes here, right, in meters. Right? So you can just keep doing this process, and again, this is where Excel can be very, very handy. Rather than repeating this 9 times, we can figure out how to do it once, and then it's just a matter of filling down. So I have here these would be the solutions for this problem, right? So this is what you should get if you want to check yourself and make sure that you're understanding this okay. And again, these are all round to the nearest tenth, right? So keep that into consideration. All right. So then, again, I didn't have other questions, specific questions to look at. Most of you, I have all the Excel problems graded, and most of you did okay. The one area I noticed that we might want to spend some, I wanted to spend some time going over with you is is actually, sorry, I can't do this and talk apparently. So I just wanted to go over with you the U-Haul problem, because I noticed that was a common issue for a number of you. I think 2 people got it 100% correct, and the others struggled a little bit. So I decided to go ahead and just grade it by completion, right? So if you completed all the parts, and then you just got the full points, right? Regardless if it was correct or not. If you had missing parts, then I took some points off. So I thought it would be beneficial for me to go through that here. All right. So sorry, I just had to switch this to dual monitors again. All right. All right, so let me just grab the U-Haul problem. Oops, yeah, let's get rid of that. All right, so multimedia library. So this was in chapter 3. All right, U-Haul. All right, so I think we're ready to work now. So we have the U-Haul problem. It says you are going to rent U-Haul truck to pick up a number of bales of hay. Each bale is 2 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet, and the dimensions of storage space, truck plus the attic space for 3 U-Haul trucks are given in the tables, right? So for each truck, we want to convert the dimensions of the truck and the attic space over the cab of the truck, right, which is the attic, to inches, right? So really, you're looking at these parts here, right, in the orange, right? So to do that, you would want to take your feet times 12, right, because there's 12 inches in a foot, and then add in the inches, right? And then we could actually just go ahead and fill that down, right, to get those. So you'd want to do the same thing here, right? Equals feet times 12 plus inches, and then we could fill that down. Right, so equals feet times 12 plus the inches. I could fill that down. So we'll do this for each part, right? So this is probably maybe the easier part. I think, whoops. All right, so sorry about that. Takes a while. All right, so I think we're good there, right? Well, this doesn't look right. 10 inches. What did I do wrong? Oh, times 12. All right, so there's some quantitative reasoning skills, right? So I saw this number was way too low. I think all the others look good. You guys were probably noticing and yelling at me to fix it, right? So now I need to compute the volume in cubic inches, right, for each part. So to do that, right, we take length times width times height, right? So I multiply all these, right? Right. All right, so last one here. All right, good. So got that done. So compute the storage volume of each truck and attic, done. Right. So part C, compute the volume of one bale of hay. Estimate how many bales of hay will fit in each truck and attic by simply dividing the total volume by the volume of one bale of hay. Note in reality, dimensions will restrict the number of bales you can stack across the truck or fit in the attic, right? So this will give us, basically what they're saying, this will give us a rough number, but it won't work completely nicely, because in reality, there might be some empty space that we can't use, right? So then compute the number of total bales that will fit in each truck, format to one decimal place. All right. So the hay in cubic inches, we have 2 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet. So there's a number of ways you could do this. So if I want it in cubic feet, I would do 2 times 2 times 3, right? But then I'm going to need to multiply that by 12 cubed, 12 to the third power, right, to put it in terms of cubic inches. Right, so for the first one we get 20,736, right? And in fact, these are all the same, so I'm just going to copy this formula, right? And copying this formula, there's no cell referencing, so it's not going to change anything, right? Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Right, so I can just copy and paste this in the appropriate cells for the hay cubic inches. Right. So in other words, this is how much space I have in the truck, and this is how much cubic inches I need per bale, right? So to figure out the number of bales, I can take the number of cubic inches divided by the number of bales, right? So then we could do that for each of these orange spots, right? So we're taking the yellow cell dividing by the green, right, in each spot, right? So the total cubic inches divided by the one bale of hay cubic inches. All right, so we have that figured out. So how many, we have figured out how many bales will fit in each part of the truck, right? In the truck, in the attic. So now what we need to do, we need to compute part D, compute the number of trips each truck will take to get all the bales of hay, format to 1 decimal place, right? So if we want to find the number of trips, well, first I need to figure this black box out, right? So in here, I can add how many bales I can fit total, right? So the orange plus the orange, right? So that tells me the total number of bales, right, in each case, right? So how many bales I can fit in the truck plus the amount I can fit in the attic. All right, good. So then now I'm trying to fill in the red, right? The number of trips I need to take. So what I can do is take, I have 275 bales total, right? And then I can divide it by the number of bales I can fit in one trip. And that will give me the number of trips I need to take, right? So we take the total bales, 275, divided by how many I can fit. Right. All right, good. So now I have that situated. So it makes sense that the bigger truck I can take fewer trips, right? But one thing we have to keep in mind is the fees, right, involved to see which one's the cheapest. Right, so now we need to figure out the cost, right? So this is part E, right? But something we have to keep in mind when we're doing this, we need to use the roundup function, because like here I have 5.49 trips, but I can't do 0.49 of a trip. I have to do 6 trips, right? And I always have to round up no matter what, like even if this was 5.1, right? Because if I did five trips, I wouldn't have all 275 bales in that trip, right? So you always have to round up no matter what, right? Or we call another thing we call this in mathematics is called taking the ceiling, right? So taking the ceiling is where you round up no matter what your number is. Even if it's 5.0001, you would still round up to 6, right? So what I'd want to put in here is equals, and then we can type in the round up function, right? So here is the round up function, and then here it tells us what number we want to round up. So we want to round up P10 in this case, and then comma, and then I only want I want 0 digits, right? In the decimal spot, right? So then I can close this and then close my first parenthesis that I have, and then I'd want to multiply times 84, right? 84 miles per trip. And then I would want times Q4, right? The per mileage rate. And then I'd want to add in this rental fee, right? So the rental fee, this is how much you pay no matter how many miles you drive, right? And then you pay a certain fee per mileage, right? So if I hit enter, that should give me my cost, right? So $166.15 for the first one. So for the second one, we want a similar formula, right? So I want to round up. So I want to round up the number of trips to 0 decimal places, right? So comma 0. And then I'd want times 84 miles per trip times cell Q5 here, right, for the 17 foot. And then I'd want to add in the rental fee, right? So we get $151.79. So then I can calculate for the last one here. So again, use the roundup function, roundup. So not the weed killer, right? So then the number, we want to round up this cell, P30, to 0 decimal places, and then times 84 miles, times cell Q6 here, right? Because for the 20 foot, we're paying 39 cents per mile, and then add in the rental fee, so this cell, and then hit enter, and we get $181.03, right? So actually the biggest truck costs the most amount of money, right? Which might be surprising to some of you, right? Because we can put more hay in the truck and make fewer trips, but the problem is is the rental fee and the mileage rate, right? We have to pay more for mileage, and that in turn would cause us to um, pay more, right? And something else that this doesn't take into account is gas mileage, right? So you would imagine that the larger truck, this 20-foot truck, would have higher gas mileage. And typically, when you borrow like a U-Haul, you're responsible for the gas, right? So if they give you a quarter of a tank of gas or diesel, whatever you're using, you have to fill it back up to at least that point, or they'll charge you like this outrageous amount, like $6 a gallon, to get it to that point, right? So that's no fun, right? So but that would definitely add cost to this as well, right? But we weren't looking at that. So we need to do parts F and G. So part F was which truck gave me the fewer trips, right? So that would have been the 20-foot truck, right? And then the one with the lowest cost was the 17-foot, right? So the one in the middle, right? So the $151.79 was the lowest cost. All right. All right, so I think that wraps up this Excel assignment. So hopefully that was beneficial for you, and also the question that I did from 3.2 also. So guys, don't, my best advice to you is just relax and just study and just try your best, right? Don't forget to study terms, study the worksheets we've done in class, right? Study, items from the textbook, homework problems, quizzes, Excel problems that we've done, right? So basically, looking at all the different types of assignments and things that we've done. So something that might be beneficial, I think I mentioned this before, is, try to think big picture. Like what I would do is like take a sheet of computer paper and literally just write down like chapter 1. What are the big concepts that you learned in chapter 1, right? And try to write everything down in chapter 1 that you need to know. And then also you could make like another sheet, and I don't know, like think of things that, I don't know, that you don't want Tyler, you don't want me to put on the exam. Because if you think about the things that you would really be upset, or not upset, but like you would be concerned if I put something like this on the exam, that's probably what you should study, right? Because that'll give you an idea about what you're the most uncomfortable with, right? The things that you're scared of the most, if you will. So study that. And also make sure you get plenty of rest, and eat a good meal before a test, and all of that. I would start studying immediately, right? Don't try to cram the night before. That's a horrible idea. So I would try to study, an hour or two every day between now and Monday for the final exam. So that way you're not so stressed out and anxious about the exam. But yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna be at a conference Thursday and Friday, but I'm still be available by email if you want to. Send me an email and let me know maybe some more questions that you have or whatnot, right? Feel free to send me an email and I'll try to get back with you. I probably won't be able to get back with you immediately, but I'll definitely get back to you like when I get home from the conference or whatnot. But all right. Well, I hope everyone has a good weekend, and don't forget, no class tomorrow, and I'll see everyone on Monday.